I was racking my brain about how to start of the conversation to make it interesting for you guys. So I got a little something to show you, Miss Velvet, that's
Oh my
going to
goodness.
slightly embarrass SJ.
Oh no.
Don't know if you can see this. Oof, these are my CDs from a way back. Ooh, the light.
I'm
Sorry.
obsessed.
God, it box. Look, show, look, you see this? Look
Wait,
at
let me
this.
see. Oh my God, you're in the tie?
Yeah.
I'm
It's crazy.
obsessed.
I'm wearing one
You're
right now.
basically wearing the same look.
That was from
Look
before.
at all your albums.
Wow.
And this one is actually, you're not going to believe this, that one is
I
signed by you guys.
Wow. Oh my
oh my
gosh.
God, I
That's
love this.
incredible.
God, I love
Oh my gosh, that just fills my heart with such joy, and I'm just flooded with so many memories. And this is a hallelujah moment.
Yeah, that's what we keep
Right.
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so amazing.
Great.
Oh,
And now you also know you can't lie to me because I knew you from before. So,
yes, exactly.
Now you go.
all right, okay. So where to actually start? Where to actually start? Firstly, congratulations on the new release.
Thank
I've
you.
watched those videos; they look absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but first, I just want to this question for both of you, and both of you will probably have similar but slightly different answers. Traveler 2023, right, all the way to here now. But working on that first release, something must have clicked. And I'm going to start with Ms. Velvet and go, one look at this South African, and what are you thinking?
So for me, when I met SJ and Traveler came right on the heels of meeting her. So 3.5 years ago, I moved out to California and we talk about that kind of that freedom, that rebirth, the reinvention. It's all in the Laurel Canyons. Many bands have kind of done that and the Eagles and Joni Mitchell, you hear it in their storytelling, you hear it in their lyrics. And I had come out there, and as cliche as it sounds, I'm like, wait, I need a new dream. I need that rebirth. I need the reinvention and the evolution of where Miss Velvet's gonna be now. I was, and I don't take this for granted. I my managers did the greatest thing they ever could have done, and hers as well, is to introduce me to this woman. And when I came out there, it was daunting. It was like I didn't know anyone in the industry. I had been, grinding it out in New York, and I did get a big break. I did George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, 2 world tours. I had come off something super substantial, but I knew that it was that shift in that moment of what is Miss Velvet now? What is Miss Velvet after, enduring a baby and a pregnancy? And what does that mean? Like, what are the topics? What are the narratives? They're going to be way more layered. And it's going to be that first moment where Miss Velvet has a solo album and solo career. So it was super weighted in how I wanted to approach that, and very methodical and very meticulous. But Traveler really is scratching the surface, right? That was that first album that kind of opened the door for our relationship, and then where we see Miss Velvet, and then Triptych was, for me, I think the most authentic representation of where Miss Velvet is to date, literally currently, and what that means for her.
Yeah, and this writing connection,
Yeah.
and connection as human beings and collaborators and really great friends now, has been so, it was just instantaneous.
Yeah.
As I work with hundreds of different artists, and every time it's a different process. And this was just an instant connection of, there is complete flow, and we get what we want, what we get, what I get, what she wants.
Yeah.
And we just, it really was innate to whatever the South African roots were in me. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
You know, there is a huge part of our collaboration is my roots and her roots
Yeah.
as women.
Yeah.
You know, having very similar yet very different stories, but something that we can land on the same platform,
Yeah.
which is Miss Velvet.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
world that she has created and that we are evolving in and developing, and you know, like she said, we're just scratching the surface.
Scratching the
Wow.
surface.
You speak a lot here about an evolution and a growth, and
Yeah.
Miss Velvet, you know, obviously having the baby is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And leading up to now, and we'll talk about how this came into concept as well, but to the concept of what Triptych becomes.
Yes.
Can you talk us through that a little bit? You said,
Yes.
obviously, you already said there was the scratching of a surface, and now
Right.
we're going deeper into something here. What is that?
So it was really cool how that did come about. It was a complete, like, I call it like extraterrestrial download. I'm super into meditation, been doing it for over 8 years. And I had come out of a meditation and I was going through something like happening in real time in my life where I had trusted and loved someone and they had deeply betrayed me. And they were coming for me and my family, unfortunately. And it does sound that dramatic because it felt that dramatic. It was like
Right.
I thought I knew this person so well, right? And this thing was happening to me in real time. And I came out of this meditation and I saw the entire visual of Triptych, which is a 14.5-minute sonic and cinematic short. And it begins with part 1, which is Pistols at Dawn. The choir leads us into part 2, which is Strut. And then it gives us into the finale of Hallelujah and then the coda. But I saw the visual in its totality, in its form coming out of that download. And I called Esjay and I was like, here's the visual. Here's the storyline of Miss Velvet confronting her enemy. So in betrayal and then unapologetic love and authenticity and owning motherhood and then Miss Velvet coming to her final resolution and release and full circle acceptance moment of even having love for your enemy. Right. So this insane visual and interpretation coming to Esjay and saying, here's what I see. And like most composers, when you give them the film and they're scoring that, they're watching the film. So this was, again, something that was very different in how we were going to approach this. I knew she could understand and handle that complexity, is taking something that was in my mind, being super clear on it, and then having her compose the sonic landscape to that.
Because I don't think, have you seen the full Triptych yet? Where it's you've seen the 14.5-minute piece with the interludes.
I watched the 3 videos. I haven't seen the entire 14-minute piece.
It's different. So the 3 videos have been pulled. They've been extracted from an entire piece. So in order to fit with today's format, have a single, right, we've had to extract the singles, but it's meant to be, Miss Velvet's vision for this is to be consumed as one whole piece, sonically and visually, and it's going to give you a whole different experience every time.
It's a short film and it's won an award already.
Exactly.
So we've actually just been accepted. Yeah, I think it's been accepted to 6 film festivals. So we're on the selection and then won the Diamond Globe Award for New York. And
incredible.
But it's a long journey to get there, my friend. It's a lot of scary moments before we get there.
Geez, congratulations on that too. This really seems to have kicked off with quite a lot of momentum already behind it.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, it's only been out for 3 weeks.
I know. We're like, why is this not number 1 yet? Oh, it's only been out for 3 weeks. Okay.
But it's an interesting kind of roller coaster to navigate, because it is something that, as Esjay said, we did have to extrapolate them and have them become singles, right? But really, when I go to my team, I'm like, I want this to be experienced, listened to, and seen in its totality.
Mhm.
So again, it's like taking, now we used to love this is like concept albums, right? We
Yeah.
we loved that stuff.
Yeah.
But this day and age, they're like, what is a concept album?
What's an album?
And I'm like, not only do I want to give you a concept album, I'd like to give it to you in a visual form. I'd like to give it to you in a short film form. So it was definitely anytime we were rocking the boats, my friend. We were rocking, I think, with perseverance and authenticity. I always say your fans find you. They find you. I know
Yeah.
they find you. I have been very lucky that I have, I have a real core group. I call them the Velvets, and they have, they've been on this journey with me. And again, we're just scratching the surface with them too. So
But for those that get to see it after we publish these interviews,
Yes.
and for those who may not have seen it yet, the visuals and the ambition and the scope of this film is incredible. And you guys got Gus Black out there to the Mojave.
yes.
And could you tell us a little bit about, how long did it take? What was the process like of getting this incredible short film down in more or less the vision that you would have had before?
So I am the creative director of the whole film. So when I saw it in my mind, I knew I had two people, right? So that was Esjay. I call it the triangle. I wanted Esjay to compose it, and I wanted Gus Black to direct it. And I knew giving it to Gus Black, his cinematography team, I knew would nail that. And I mean, when I say 100 Zoom calls, I mean 100 Zoom calls, like him and I having crazy calls. And then him telling me, like, here are the harsh realities. Like, we are going to get out there. You have to be out there for 3 days. We need to set up a small village, like a camp. We need RVs, we need electricity, we need water, we need a medic. The temperature is going to go up to 105. Like, we need to be prepared. There's a dust storm that might happen. I mean, and all of these Mother Nature natural elements, they happened. And so they happened. Like, when you look at Strut and you see that incredible wind, it's not Beyonce fans at the end of the stage. Like, that's a fucking dust storm, my friend.
Yeah, which we had to stop filming for like a good couple of hours because it was so brutal that we had to pull everything down, get everybody inside, and then it was like 2 a.m, and we were like, we have 30 minutes before the next gust comes. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
I mean, crazy stuff where even and understanding and knowing and picking somebody like Gus Black that I knew would be able to understand that landscape. Is he had a brilliant idea. It's like when she said we were all called back to our trailers to take cover, literally to take cover. He was like, okay, I have 3 semi trucks. I'm going to line the 3 semi trucks up in a semicircle on the bottom of that stage. It's going to block 50 to 60% of that wind. Yeah. Right. But we're going to get the wind on the side, on the angle. So we're still going to get some beautiful gusts. I mean, mindsets like that I knew. Again, I like to go into these projects where when I bring in exceptional talent and artistry, I don't micromanage that as well. So I knew that was going to be a big thing of like trusting in this woman and trusting in Gus to give me their expertise and then to bring this thing to life.
That's incredible. Esjay, was that your first time out in the desert?
I actually live in the desert now.
Oh,
I live in a little town called Yucca Valley, right near Joshua Tree.
Amazing.
The very famous Joshua Tree. So I live out in the desert. So the Mojave is about an hour from my doorstep. It's on the way it's in between like Joshua Tree and Vegas. So that's where the Mojave Desert is.
In the desert.
So it wasn't my first time out there, so I knew what to expect. And the desert is brutal and harsh, and it was a perfect intertwining of everything that is the Triptych, because there is so much there's so much beauty, there's so much harshness, there's so much heartache, there's so much betrayal, there's so much triumph. So it was just like the perfect landscape to go with the Triptych. Genius. You're a genius.
You're it. You're it.
I want to focus in on one of the themes that you guys have brought up in the surrounding material for Hallelujah specifically, but I would expect that runs through the entirety of the release. And someone mentioned that there was a very specific element of finding healing power through music. All right. Now, from a particular angle here, I know Esjay, from a South African perspective, you have a perspective on how music can heal divisions and can bring people together. And I was wondering, given that sort of, I want to call it an intrinsic understanding of how that has happened for us here, whether that had any impact in how you approached what Miss Velvet was saying with the same idea thematically.
I do. It's such a beautiful and smart question, Anton.
Yeah.
I think everything that I do, and specifically for this project, had a lot to do with it was crazy earlier when you were saying a couple of things. I was just of bringing people together. It was like, it's almost like this, you know, how South Africa had Nelson Mandela, and that he brought people together, and here's this music channel, you know, of, it's a metaphor of exactly what we're doing here with the Miss Velvet project, is bringing people together in all different walks of life. And I do think, coming from South Africa and having that history and that knowledge and whatever that was in the land, the energy that we felt, whether we knew it or not,
Right.
you know, it has been sewn into my bones. And that is absolutely a part. And we talk about it a lot when we talk about coming to South Africa, and people want to know what, and Miss Velvet's art wants to know what the history was like growing up in South Africa. And did we feel the divisions? And, you know, it music was Johnny Clegg, man, you know, like bringing Hugh Masekela, you know, bringing people together. And like, and these are things that we've been talking about, is like starting to reach out to these international artists that have had these huge connections, and bringing people together on a universal plane, and sewing that into the Miss Velvet world too. So yes, love the question, and absolutely.
And Miss Velvet, for you, speaking as an outsider, it feels like somebody reading the news from outside the United States, that this is a good time for that kind of idea, for that message.
Well said, my friend, especially right now. I apologize for our country. I think more so than ever, I kind of always look at things, and I was thinking about it today. I was actually in like a little short meditation before I started this, and I always think of like, can we live up here in this echelon where, and someone said it really poignant about Triptych. I don't really know yet what this is, but I know I feel safe. And I think that's been something, that safe to be your authentic self. And when I say live up here in this echelon of energy and curiosity and artistry and happiness and you know, down here is when people say like, oh, don't say that, it's too political. It's like, no, really, that's down here. That's like, there's this weighted energy that we so can fall into those traps. And I think like Hallelujah and Triptych is, whether you understand or like the music choices or like the fashion or don't like the fashion, I think that there's a moment of sacredness in watching the arc of the fantastical character of Miss Velvet, right? I try to channel that and have her become the beacon, have her, you know, challenge feminine versus masculine energy. What does that even mean in today's society? Have her challenge singing a certain way. I mean, these are real, like, layered, heady things that I think about. Not squishing the voice, aka not squishing our voices when we just talk, when we say what we feel in 2025, our political views, not squishing our voices. And so, like, that's something where Miss Velvet is the conduit, is the channel to all of these fucking things.
And an inspiration to not make yourself small.
Yeah.
And keep yourself.
Yeah. Hey, exactly.
Absolutely brilliant. 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 You brought up something interesting there, which I also wanted to take the opportunity to comment on. You guys look hella stylish in your presentation, man. You guys look amazing in everything I've seen so far.
Again, she is the art director, the stylist. Every single piece has been curated by this human.
And that everything you said a moment ago kind of already sort of informs what that's all about. So thank you for that. That's great. That's great. I saw an interesting clip though, and I'm not sure how I got onto it by watching the Hallelujah video, I think, or the Hallelujah clip on YouTube. I somehow got onto this reel which showed you guys sitting in what looks like Grand Central Station.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. When we played Hallelujah at Grand
What was going on there?
I'm so obsessed with New York and what New York, and I'm like, listen, I'm a born and bred New Yorker, and I wanted to show her these amazing landmarks in New York. And I was like, I wonder if we could sing Hallelujah in Grand Central Station. And of course we had our team with us. We're like, okay, we got to capture this moment because you can't, you're not, I mean, you're not really supposed to be filming and busking.
Believe it or not, like, I'm not a rule breaker. It's like I'm pretty much a person that's like, okay,
she looked like it.
Yeah, but she's like not, it, but
she's
right. Right. I know. Well, maybe as I'm getting older, I'm getting less like, willing to push rules. But I'm like, guys, we can't film in here. She's like, sit down, play, let's go. Like, so, and we've got like the cops coming up around us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to jail today. She's like, calm down. Like, they're just gonna tell us to stop, But it definitely was such a great experience.
It was such a cool moment, and like you can't see it from the other side, but we had this amazing semicircle of just like people coming and watching and cheering. It was just like. Oh my God. I was like, keep playing. Just fucking play. But it's been fun. We've kind of been taking Hallelujah like to the streets of New York. And picking, like, we did the New York Public Library on the steps.
The Met.
Yeah, we did the Met. So we've kind of picked these like super iconic landmarks, and just we've been singing Hallelujah like old school busking, which has been just so fun and just silly and amazing, and
Brilliant. Esjay, what makes you feel that Hallelujah could resonate so strongly with South African audiences?
I think coming back to your question about bringing unity and bringing people together, I think Hallelujah is not a religious term for us. It's a term of bringing people together, and it's a spiritual universal moment of togetherness. And I think it's going to resonate really well with South African audiences. It just, to me, it just feels like it's the right song to lead with.
Right. Ms. Velvet, sorry, go ahead.
Open up people's interest to go down the Miss Velvet rabbit hole, which is a beautiful, wonderful place.
Yeah, I have to say, for anyone who's followed any sort of resemblance or semblance of the rocker art, listening to what you guys have done on these recordings, it definitely has a home here, I gotta say. The people that like rock here are gonna love that stuff, because I heard a lot of different things in it as well. Besides, rock and blues, I had a lot of roots. I heard a bit of country. I heard a bit of gospel. I heard a bit of all of that stuff. Yeah. And I think that blending those things really reaches many more people than a pure genre, if you will. And that
Absolutely.
for me
It
was
feels
really
it feels super accessible, right?
yeah.
And that's the reason why we led with Hallelujah, knowing again format that we spoke to about earlier, and we're trying to, not that we want to fit into anything, but maybe this is the most, you know, the easiest song for us to lead with in
Right.
South Africa. And then I think people are going to be like, okay, well, what's Traveler? What's Strut?
Yeah, right.
What's Pistols at Dawn?
Yeah.
So Miss Velvet, if you can get past the crushing disappointment of only having won one award in the first 2 or 3 weeks of being released, what's the plan?
Actually, I'm
Where's the
actually
tour? What's happening?
We're in talks of some really exciting tours, and I think real big kickoffs for 2026.
Right.
That's really the masterminding plan of what's happening, and then exploring different mediums in art, and what that means with films and performance, live performances, residencies, taking Triptych and bringing it to life in some kind of format, what that means, visually, sonically, what does that look like? So it's a very exciting time, and I just said this earlier to on a previous interview, which was, I used to look at Miss Velvet very linear and say like, okay, Miss Velvet is a recording artist, but I'm starting to look at Miss Velvet, and she's, I'm always bowing down to my alter ego. It's like she's guiding the way of, this is becoming really an artist. It's really an artist, and what that means in different mediums, right? And straddling and having multiple pillars that make up Miss Velvet, and make up the brand, whether that's leaning in fashion, whether that's leaning in films, live performances, tours, records, visual records. So it's become a very interesting new word that I'm kind of loving, and I'm really curious about what it really means to be an artist today for Miss Velvet.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to the two of
Oh,
you.
such
Thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much for your time. I really,
Yes.
really appreciate it.
Brilliant questions. Brilliant.
And
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hang with you in real life.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get over there next year, April. That's the plan. It's very soon we will be having a coffee and chit-chatting together, which is going to be wonderful.
Good deal. Thank you guys so much. And again, best of luck with everything. I was blown away by it when I saw it, but visually, sonically, I think that I'm a fan already in that sense. But again, thank you so much for giving me the interview and taking the time to chat. We will definitely meet up when you guys come out. When you do come out next year.
Cannot wait.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anton. Have the best evening. We'll chat to you soon.
Thanks, chat. Bye-bye.